I think for the parent, it could feel like more control, more involvement. For the child, it can feel way less scary. I think we see anxiety being a huge factor that's getting in the way of learning for a lot of children. Um, the classroom can be scary, especially if you don't know your teacher or you don't know the children in your class. And you can be so fixated on that you're not even listening. But then I also think about the child that sitting still is really hard for them. Well, maybe when they're learning at home, they can learn on a trampoline, they can go run in the backyard. I've seen a lot of parents significantly increase the amount of outdoor and gross motor play when they choose to homeschool their child, particularly for children with ADHD who may have a difficult time sitting and focusing. You can learn on the swings, you can learn on a walk. Obviously, that's really difficult for a teacher to execute with 30 plus children in their class, but in the homeschool environment, you can make that happen for your child. And so that can be a huge game changer.
Absolutely. It just gets to be that much more personalized and catered to your child. You can adjust transitions to suit them. You can adjust the length of lessons or focused learning time or attention to suit the way they learn. Um, Flexible seating. I mean, talk about, we're starting to get there now in schools and understanding that we need to have some differences like that, but we're not there yet. And so, at home, you have the ability to customize your environment to feel safer, to feel calmer, to feel like they're getting more attention because that individualized attention can make a huge difference. The feedback, that you get is immediate. And so all of those things absolutely can make learning feel different, feel very different and more suited to your child. Absolutely. So before choosing homeschooling, what are some honest questions then parents should ask themselves? Because it is a lot of that we've covered, the roles change at home, the environment changes at home. There's a whole lot of adjusting. So before making such a big decision, because it is a big decision, what are some questions that parents really need to honestly ask themselves?
First and foremost, you need to have um, a clear idea of why you're choosing it. I think as we've seen homeschooling get more popular, I fear that some parents may simply do it because others are doing it and it seems good without fully understanding why they're choosing that for their child. I think, especially for parents with multiple children, you may choose it for one of your children and not all. Thinking and understanding why you're choosing it for that specific child will also structure things you put priority on in your homeschooling experience. So I think why. I think your ability to actually dedicate the time and supervise your child. If you have, a 3 or a 4-year old that needs to be pretty heavily supervised and you're trying to work a work from home job that has a few hours of video calls a day that you have to have your door shut, who's going to supervise your child during that time? They were at school. So I think really thinking through the logistics for your family, or do you want to, sign them up for an enrichment program during that time? Because there is that flexibility to do parts of it. One of the roles that I am stepping into soon is teaching an enrichment pod for 4 children that are homeschooled, so that they can come together and get some peer engagement and also give their parents a few hours a week to get other stuff done without having to give up the whole homeschooling experience, but making it work for their families. So I think that's something to think about as well. Do you want to do it entirely yourself? Or do you want to bring in a combination of experts and resources and some engagement with a classroom setting, but a smaller classroom setting or an outdoor classroom setting? There's so many options. So I think obviously, you should not expect to commit to one plan and assume it's going to work and feel stuck. But I think a conversation about what are some things that we think might work for us so that if something doesn't work, you're not like, what do I do now? I lost my spot in the school. Because I mean, pulling your child out of traditional schooling is a huge decision. And not to say that you can never go back, but I would like to think that if you're choosing to do this, you're going to at least give it more than a couple months to let your child adjust. And in that case, you need to be prepared and sure that it's going to at least work for a few.